Hi guys, my name is Lizelle. Welcome back to my channel. My channel is Lizelle Loves Books. First of all, I want to say I can't believe 64 of you subscribe to my channel. This is so wild. I appreciate it so much. For today's video, it's going to be my mid-month wrap-up. I read 16 books in the first half of July, and these books are Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. It's her last book in her Twisted series. It's about Stella and Christian. I already talked about that in my previous video, so if you want to know more about the synopsis, please check it out. The next book I read, it was a recommendation from Sam Reads a Little, and Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl. It's by Emma Scott. It's Between Hello and Goodbye. I also talked about that book in my previous video, so please check that out if you want to know more about the synopsis. But I'll tell you anyway, because that's one of my favorite books this month. So it's about Faith and Asher. Faith's boss demands that she go take a break from work because the way she is now, she's not being productive. So she goes on vacation to Hawaii. And she's hiking, and something happens where they had to call the firefighters, and that's where she meets Asher. Asher is a firefighter in Hawaii. They develop a friendship because she said she doesn't want any kind of attachment to a guy because that's what she came to get away from, because she does nothing but have physical relationship with guys, so she doesn't want that. But so her and Asher decide to be friends while she's on vacation. But there's so much chemistry between Faith and Asher, and they can't deny their feelings for each other. So it turns physical, but it turns into more because they just develop feelings for each other. They try the long distance relationship, and you have to read the book to find out how it goes, because you have to know if they make it. But it's a really good read, so I suggest Between Hello and Goodbye, because Faith and Asher are soulmates. Okay, they are soulmates. I don't want to spoil anything, but please read the book. The next book I read is Flawless by Elsie Silver. I also talked about that in my previous blog, but I'll give you the synopsis because it's also one of my favorite reads. Flawless is about Rhett, this bull rider whose reputation takes a nosedive, so his manager sends his daughter because his daughter works for him, so he sends her to look after Rhett while he's gone and make sure he doesn't do anything more to make his reputation worse. And Rhett doesn't like Summer at first because Rhett thinks she's some city girl. Rhett thinks that she's some city girl. She's just some city girl and really doesn't care about him. She's just here because her dad told her to watch him. But over time, you see that Summer really cares about Rhett getting his reputation back, and Rhett starts to see that for himself, and he starts falling for her. There's a caretaking scene in here that is my favorite. I love caretaking scenes in books. And let's just say I'll never look at whipped cream the same way. Because there's also a scene in here with whipped cream that is so wild. So please read Flawless. It's a very good book. And for a small town romance, it is steamy. Like, this is one of the steamiest small town romance books that I have ever read. Elsie Silver knows how to write her steam, because usually most small town romance are a closed door or fade to black. But if you're looking for steam, Elsie Silver is a good small town author to read. The next book I read is also by Elsie Silver. It's her original series. It's called Off to the Races. This is about Billy, and I forgot the guy's name, but the guy has problems with his ranch, with his horse racing, because of his scandal that his grandfather did to ruin their reputation, because they're in horse racing, but his grandfather rigged the races, so their family reputation is taking a nosedive. So he hires Billy to work with his horses and find a jockey so he can start with the races again. But when he shows up, he mistakenly thought Billy is a man, but she turns out to be a woman. And they try to stay away from each other because he's her boss, and it wouldn't look right because they both come from a scandalous past, so they try to deny their feelings, especially Billy. She tries to resist because if she ends up in another scandal, it could be really bad. But once the guy decides that he likes Billy, he pursues her until she admits her feelings. And it was so good. And there's a groveling scene in here that I think is a good grovel scene. But yeah, it's a boss-employee romance. And it is good. The other book I read is also by Elsie Silver. It's the second book in that series. It's called A Photo Finish, and it's about Cole and Violet. Cole is the guy's brother from the first book in the series. The guy who I can't remember the name of. And Violet is the jockey that Billy found to ride her horse. It's a second chance romance. Cole and Violet meets online, but then something happens that makes Violet ghost Cole. And they don't see each other. They don't interact with each other until a year later. And Cole knows it's her because he saw a picture of her. But she doesn't know it's him until he calls her by her screen name in the chat. And yeah, it's forced proximity. It's second chance. And she always thought it was weird that Cole never showed her his face, but Cole had a good reason for that. And I'm not gonna spoil anything, but please read this book. Cole is from the army. He has a lot of PTSD from that. He has a disability. I'll tell you that. I won't tell you what it is because it will spoil the part in the book, but please read A Photo Finish. It is so good. The next book I read is Bright Like Fire by Juliette Cross. I also talked about this in my previous video, so if you want to know
it's called Bright Like Wildfire,
please go check out my previous video, Bright Like Wildfire by Juliette Cross. But it was a good small town romance. The hero falls first, and I love it when the hero falls for the heroine first. The next series I read, it's a series, and I'm not going to talk so much about it because I have a reading vlog coming out on Friday, but it's the Crossfire series by Sylvia. Cheyenne put together people reading the Crossfire series or reading it for the first time. So a bunch of Booktubers are putting their vlogs out on Friday. So if you want to know my thoughts on that, please
Cheyenne
check out my reading blog that's coming out on Friday. Also, I do have to say it is a mess because in the books, her name is Eva, but in the audiobooks, the narrator says her name is Ava, and also I said that Ava's boss's name is Mark, when her boss's name is Marcus. But please watch that vlog to know my thoughts on it. And there's 5 books in that series. And the last series I read is by Lilly Mayne. It's her Monstrous series. It's an MM post-apocalyptic series. It's the love line is between the relationships are between like humans and monsters, and they are not supposed to be together because monsters and humans do not get along. They're the reason why Earth has all these problems. So yes, it's kind of like forbidden. But my favorite 2 books in this series, there's 5 books, but my favorite 2 are Eden and Moth. Eden is about this soldier who gets attacked by monsters, but he gets saved by a monster called Eden. I think you pronounce it Eden. It's Edin, so hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. So he saves the guy, and together the guy's best friend Charlie gets kidnapped, and they work together to rescue Charlie. But through all that, they fall in love, and he has to decide if he wants to go back in the army or stay with Eden. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. My next favorite book in that series, probably my favorite book in that series, is called Moth, and it's about Moth and Charlie. Moth is half human, half monster, and Charlie is the soldier that was captured in Eden. And they are working together because they want to save a mutual friend, and they travel together to get him out. And it's a very good book. I highly recommend the Monstrous series by Lilly Mayne. If you haven't read Monster Romance before, it's a really good series. So those are the books that I read for the first half of July. Please comment, like, and subscribe. It is Disability Pride Month, so I appreciate it if you would subscribe. Bye!